Good morning. This is Kelly Hall. I'm going to give it a couple of more minutes so individuals who are signing on can get signed on. We will begin the webinar at 10 o'clock. Thank you for joining us. Good morning. This is Kelly Hall. I want to say thank you for joining us on our webinar. I'm going to give it a couple of more minutes as individuals are signing on. We will begin at 10 a.m. Thank you. Good morning. This is Kelly Hall. Thank you for joining our webinar. We will be starting in just a couple of minutes as people are rapidly signing on. Thank you for your patience. Good morning. This is Kelly Hall, President and CEO of the Longview Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Kilgore and Tyler Chambers, we appreciate you joining us this morning. I'd like to begin with a few housekeeping items. First, this webinar is being recorded and will be made available online at www.longviewchamber.com. For those on the line, you will receive an email later today with a link to listen to the webinar again. And I'd like to encourage you to consider sharing with other businesses in East Texas. Next, there are a couple of features I would like to make you aware of. Please find the chat and question icons. You can type in both features to the organizer. The purpose of the chat today is to make the organizer aware there are issues with the broadcast. The question feature is for you to ask questions of the presenters throughout the presentation. Presenters will be answering questions when both presentations have concluded. I will ask the submitted question and direct it to the intended speaker. Lastly, you will be muted through the presentation. It is important for me to share that my team and I are thinking of you during this unsettling time. I recognize this is a painful season and our business community is looking for answers. We are in uncharted waters, and while we don't have all the answers, we do have access to experts in specific areas that can provide you with a place to start. Today, we are featuring two experts. We will open with Shelmire, the director of the UT Tyler Longview SBDC, followed by Ahmad Goree, the lead economic development specialist, public information officer with the SBA out of the Dallas-Fort Worth district office. At this time, I would like to turn the program over to Shelmire.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Thank you so much for inviting me and Ahmad to be here today. As Kelly said, I'm the Shelmire. I'm the director of the UT Tyler Longview Small Business Development Center. And what we're going to talk about today, here's our agenda. I'm going to give you all a brief introduction to the UT Tyler Longview SBDC, and then we're going to talk about two SBA loans that are, one's available, one's about to be available, the economic injury disaster loans called EIDLs, and the CARES Act, the Paycheck Protection Program loans, known as a PPP. And joining me today is Ahmad Goree. He's the lead economic development specialist and public information officer for the SBA. And Ahmad, feel free to, as we go through these slides, to jump in at any time for clarification. Just wanted to throw out a disclaimer there. The information in this presentation is subject to change, and things are changing rapidly. From what I understand, there are more bills coming along. One thing I'd like to point out, and I know there's a lot of angst and anxiety out there in our small business community. One of the things I read this morning, there was an article praising China's ability to lock up their people. And I just wanted to say that our federal government is proving that they are going to take measures to set our entrepreneurs and small business owners free, to show that our American entrepreneurs and small business owners are the best in the world. And like a surgeon once told me, it's the surgery is important, but it's all in the recovery. And we are going to get through this crisis. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about the UT Tyler Longview Small Business Development Center. Our mission is to provide at no cost business advising and consulting services to entrepreneurs and small business owners in order to help local small businesses start, grow, and thrive. You can see our service area there in red. We cover Gregg County, Harrison, Marion, Panola, West, and Upshur counties. You see the main cities there in those counties. And how do we do this? We're part of a national grant program that's administered by the SBA. We're an SBA resource partner. So we're funded in part by the SBA, the state of Texas, and University of Texas at Tyler. We're staffed by seasoned entrepreneurs and business people. We've all owned our own businesses, and there's a network of over 900 centers across the country. Every county in the country is covered by a small business development center. And there's one in Tyler, there's one in Athens, Paris, Commerce, of course in Dallas. They're all across the state. So if you have friends who are entrepreneurs in other parts of the state, they're all able to find and work with the Small Business Development Center. These are some of the things that we do. We specialize in helping entrepreneurs start companies from the very beginning. We help businesses grow. We help businesses who are struggling figure out what's going on. We can help with business plan development. All the things that you see there, we help businesses package loans for conventional loans, SBA loans as well. We do a lot of different things. Anything a paid-for consulting firm can do, we can do it. The best part is we do it at no charge. So what are we telling small businesses right now? We are telling small businesses owners and entrepreneurs to be proactive, be creative, think outside the box, do everything that American entrepreneurs are known for. Right now is the time not to go hide, not to hunker down, but now is the time to reach out to your banker, your landlord, your employees and suppliers. And believe it or not, your employees are some of your best sources of ideas. Every time I've ever reached out to my employees for ideas, some of the best ideas I've ever come up with have been through my employees. Get and keep your financial records up to date now. Start doing that now. If you're working out of your checkbook, now's the time to go get QuickBooks, find a bookkeeper or a CPA, and start being operating like a real business. Document the business impact of this disaster. You need to know how this is affecting you and what you need to do. Knowing the hole that you're in is how you're going to know how many feet of ladder you're going to need to climb out. So understand the business impact of this disaster. Apply for these SBA EIDL loans and the Paycheck Protection Program loans. And we're going to talk about this in more detail. Get on that right now. Do not lay off your employees. And I repeat, do not lay off employees right now. I know it's difficult to make payroll. It's one of your largest expenses. These PPP loans will forgive up to 8 weeks of documented payroll expenses. So and these are almost available. The last thing is seek advice, whether it's from an SBDC advisor, lawyer, CPA, business mentor, even Uncle Fred, who's a successful entrepreneur. It's proven fact that businesses who seek expert advice outside of the business are more successful in the long run. So seek advice. So we'll dive right into this. There's a lot of information here. And again, I will say that this information is being amended, appended, changed. So everything that you see here is good information right now, and it could change in the future. But we're going to talk about what's already in place, the economic injury disaster loans. They're known as EIDL. They're already in place. You can go to the website right now today and apply for one of these loans. And again, Ahmad, you can jump in at any time to clarify or to add color to whatever I'm about to talk about. So the EIDL loans, there's no reason not to apply for their loans. There's no application fee. And if the loan is approved, the borrower has 6 months to accept the loan. They're only for small businesses and private nonprofits. Small business is loosely defined as 500 employees or less, but if you want to go figure out exactly if your business is a small business or not, go to the census.gov and you can find out whether your business is considered a small business. The loans are made directly from the SBA through the Department of Treasury. There's no bank involved in these loans. The SBA will look very loosely at your credit, your repayment ability, and collateral, but there's no collateral for loans that are $25,000 or less. The limit to these loans is $2 million. The interest rate for small businesses is 3.75, 2.75 for private nonprofits. All loans will be for 30 years. They can be paid off early with no penalties. Loan payments will be deferred for 12 months from the inception of the loan. The application process, from what I'm hearing out there, takes as little as 30 minutes if you have all your documents ready to go. And that's one of the things that we can help you with here at the SBDC. If you get on there and you have these documents and you need help filling them out or have questions, please give us a call. You can, the only way to apply for these loans is online, and there is the website right there. The SBA has a customer service center hotline number. I've heard from a number of our clients. They are answering the phones. They do give you good information. So if you're filling out an application for one of these loans, that hotline number is a good one. What I have been hearing is that it's easier to apply for these loans and get people on the hotline not at peak hours, so early in the morning, late at night. You can also get emails at the email address that you see on your screen. So one thing I will leave you with is there is no reason not to apply for this loan. If you are accepted for a loan, you don't have to accept it. And again, you have 6 months to accept it, and you don't have to accept all of it. You can accept a portion of it. So these are some other loans for the EIDLs. There's an advance up to $10,000 of the EIDL loans are made available within 3 days of successful application, and that $10,000 does not have to be repaid. So there's loan forgiveness there. SBA Express Bridge loans, if you need the money even quicker, you can see the terms there. You can get these through your SBA preferred lender that does bridge loans, and you have to already have a relationship with them. Now I'm going to jump to the Paycheck Protection Program loans. I've heard them called PPPs or PPLs. Again, the disclaimer, this information is subject to change, and forgive me, I just got these slides yesterday afternoon from a fellow director, SBDC director, so I haven't gone. This is the first time I'm actually presenting them, so bear with me. There's some redundancy, but I'll go through this information quickly so that we'll have a lot more time for question and answer with Ahmad. So, Paycheck Protection Program. Let me also say before I jump into this information, this was signed into law on Friday. The agencies and departments of the federal government are on the hook for developing guidelines and guidance to actually put these laws into action. And honestly, I've never seen a federal agency move as fast as the SBA has on the EIDL loans and as they're moving on these Paycheck Protection Program loans. My hat is off to the SBA for working overtime like this. They are doing a great job, and I thank everybody for having patience with them, because I worked for NASA years ago, and my joke is, as slow as NASA moves, I couldn't believe they could put a man on the moon. But I think the SBA could put a man on the moon. But anyway, I digress. So, Paycheck Protection Program loans, the Paycheck Protection Program, SBA has authority to provide 100% federally backed loans through the end of this year, and to help eligible businesses pay operational costs such as payroll, rent, and utilities. We'll go into this in more detail. If a business satisfies certain conditions, portions of these loans are forgivable, and we'll go into that in further detail as well. The loan is made through an SBA preferred lender and other lenders that are being added soon. So this is not a direct loan through the Treasury Department and SBA. This is going through your traditional bank. The SBA will guarantee 100% of this loan. This includes, your employees, full-time, part-time, and any other status employees. The coverage period is from February 15th of this year through June 30th of this year. These loans are based on the average total monthly payroll cost incurred during the 1 year period before the date of the loan. In other words, the maximum loan amount is the lesser of $10 million, or 2.5 times the average payroll based on last year's payroll. So this could be a significant loan amount here for your company. What's not included in this calculation, individual employee compensation over $100,000, payroll and income taxes, compensation for employees that do not reside in the United States, and then qualified sick leave and family leave wages. So the use of these proceeds can be used for payroll costs, costs related to the continuation of group health care benefits during periods of paid sick leave, medical or family leave, and insurance premiums. Employee salaries, interest payments on any mortgage, rent and utility payments, interest payments on any other debt obligations that were incurred before February 15, 2020. So the forgiveness portion of this, the amount of forgiveness cannot exceed the principal amount of the loan, but may be equal to a business's cost during the 8 weeks following the date of the loan's origination for the following categories: payroll costs, interest on real or personal property, mortgage obligations in existence before February 15, 2020, rent under a lease agreement enforced before February 15, 2020, utility payments, including electricity, gas, water, transportation, telephone, and internet before February 15, 2020. So you can see this is a very wide-ranging loan, and it's very powerful. Also included is business has tipped employees. This is very important for restaurants, obviously. Businesses may receive forgiveness for additional wages paid to those employees. Now, this is very important for those of you companies already who haven't been able to hold on to your employees and you're sitting there scratching your head because you've already laid them off. If borrowers rehire workers that have already been laid off due to COVID within 30 days of the enactment of the CARES Act, does not be penalized or have loan forgiveness reduced by any reduction of employees or reduction in payments to employees, so long as those workers are rehired on or before June 30th, 2020. So part of the big emphasis for these loans is to make sure that you have the money to pay your employees. So there's a real incentive here to get your employees back on board. Any amounts that are not forgiven at the end of 1 year are carried forward for a maximum term of 10 years at a maximum rate. 4% and the 100% loan guarantee remains during that term.
Hey, Dave, this is Ahmad. Real quick, just wanted to give you an update on that.
Yes,
I think you got it. Yeah, and I think you got it on the next slide as well. So we have the SBA has changed the terms on that, so they are now 2 years and an interest rate of 0.5%.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that clarification, Ahmad. 2 years at 0.5%. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So along with this loan is no collateral or personal guarantee. Loan fees are waived. Deferral of payments from 6 months to a year. No prepayment penalties. Maximum rate and term 4% in 10 years. One caveat: the businesses obtaining a loan through the PPP will not be able to use payroll tax credits available under the Families First Coronavirus Act, employer retention, and the deferral of employer side Social Security payroll taxes under the CARES Act. Again, I show you this table just to show you that there's a lot of resources out there, a lot of information available. This was from the Coleman report. Again, everything on the table is subject to change, but from reputable sources, there's good information all over the internet. You just Google it. Again, the caveat is from reputable sources. If you don't know where it comes from and you haven't seen it on the SBA website or the Chamber website, find it on a reputable source. And I will say, one of the best sources of information out there that I've seen is the Longview Chamber of Commerce. Kelly and her staff have done a fantastic job of posting things on her website. And in fact, I use this website on a regular basis to find links to go to the federal websites, the state websites, but get your information from reputable sources. Again, I'll throw this up here. Here's our contact information. We serve those 6 counties. There are other SBDCs available to you if you're in Tyler or if you're in Athens or anywhere else like that. Feel free to give your SBDC a call. And here is contact information on the EIDL loans. There's the hotline number again, the email address, the website for applying directly to the EIDL loans, and then the CARES Act Paycheck Protection Program loans. Contact your local SBA preferred lender. And again, there's a number of lenders. And let me go back to this one slide here. Sorry about this. I think it's on here. Well, the slide's not on here, but anyway, there are several local preferred lenders. I had them on another slide that's not here right now, but anyway, I'll just name a couple of them. There's Bancorp South, Southside Bank, Austin Bank, are a number of your preferred lenders. Check with your local bank first and see if they're local lenders. I'm sure they'll be added soon. And with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Kelly, and Ahmad and I will be available for questions and answers.
Ahmad, thank you for joining us today. Do you have any comments before we start navigating the questions?
Thank you, Kelly, for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Dave, for also inviting me on. Yeah, I just have a couple of things that I want to point out. As Dave stated, this is a changing situation. So these type of programs are changing by the day. And we want to try to make sure that you have the most up-to-date and accurate information. We know that this is a very trying time for you as a small business owner, trying to decide how you're going to keep your business operating, and most importantly, how are you going to keep your employees paid. So that's why the SBA and the government has offered these 3 different options that you can take advantage of to help overcome the issues that you're experiencing with the operation and cost of your business. The first one is the economic injury disaster loan that Dave talked about, up to $2 million. That is for for-profit businesses and nonprofit businesses. So you have to be small according to SBA size standards. And you can go to sba.gov/size standards to see what industry your business is in to determine what your size standard is. So some businesses, it's revenue based, other businesses, it's number of employees. Certain businesses don't qualify for the EIDL loan, which is the economic injury disaster loan. And those businesses are businesses that are involved in gambling, any illegal type of activity, according to the United States government. Certain nonprofits don't qualify for the EIDL loan. Those are religious institutions and charitable organizations, but just about every other private nonprofit qualifies. With the economic development disaster loan, the economic injury disaster loan, you also have the second option that you can take advantage of funding. That is a $10,000 advance. So while you're applying for this loan, you have the capability to get up to $10,000 quickly within 3 days to help with the expenses of your business, such as payroll, utilities, health insurance, any other operating costs. You could get up to $10,000 in 3 days for that purpose. If you use it for those purposes, then that portion of the loan will be forgiven. Next option that you have is the PPP, Payment Protection Program. This is a pretty broad program. So like the EIDL loan, there are certain businesses and certain nonprofits that don't qualify. For the Payment Protection Program, all small businesses and all nonprofits can take advantage of this program. You have until June 30th of 2020 to decide if that's something you want to participate in. As Dave pointed out, this is a program that will be administered 100% by a local lender. And our suggestion is that you get on SBA's website, sba.gov, local resources, and go to the Dallas-Fort Worth District Office webpage and look at our resource guide and see who are the SBA 7A lenders that are already in place. More lenders will likely come on board since this is a program that's offering a 100% guarantee to the lending institutions. So we will see more lending institutions and more credit unions coming on board, which are really big financial components in small communities, especially rural communities. So this program should be in effect and ready for you to go to your lender and apply on April 3rd, which is this Friday. So I think that's about the only things that I wanted to point out real quick, and I am ready to take any questions.
Thank you. And we do have quite a few questions. First one, can we use the Family Care Act to pay our employee for 2 weeks of leave and receive tax credits when closed in March, and then apply for the CARES Act PPP loan to cover payroll in April, May, June period and qualify for forgiveness?
So I don't have any information on the Family Care Act, but the Payment Protection Program, you're able to utilize those funds for payroll. If you use 75% of those funds for payroll, then that portion will be forgiven. So you can't spend no more than 25% on things other than payroll in order to get the forgiveness. So it's a great program. Also consider looking at the EIDL loan. So you're able to look at the EIDL loan and get, if you use or decide to take the up to 10,000 advance and you use that for payroll and other expenses, then that up to 10,000 can be advanced. And you can get that within 3 days.
If you have already applied, how long does it take to find out?
So if you've already applied, I'm assuming they're speaking of the economic injury disaster loan. If they've already applied, it's about a 3 to 4 week processing time. So the process looks like this. When you apply online, which is the best way to apply, which is COVID-19 relief.sba.gov. That's the best way to apply. Once you apply, your loan is going to be assigned to a loan processor. That loan processor is going to be considered your case manager throughout the time of the loan processing period. So that person will be reaching back out to you via email or phone call if they need to clarify information on your application. But that whole loan processing period is about 3 to 4 weeks. If you have any questions about the status of your loan, they has the information on the screen. So you could call our customer service number, or you could email that email address for questions regarding to your application. Do not use that email to mail any documentation. That's strictly for questions related to your application.
Are independent contractors, 1099s, eligible for the EIDL loans? And if so, do you recommend they apply?
1099 employees are absolutely eligible for the economic injury disaster loan. And I do absolutely recommend that they apply. I recommend every business and nonprofit to apply that can apply. This is a program that doesn't cost you anything. There's no fees associated with this program. There's no application fees, no guarantee fees, there's no broker fees. This is the only time that the United States government issue these loans directly from the U.S. Treasury and not through a bank. So it's not costing you anything to apply for this program. I recommend everyone to apply. If you decide later on that you have found another program that may be better suitable for your business, you have up to 6 months to take this loan or not. So definitely apply.
How does a business know which is the best loan to apply for?
And feel free, Day, to jump in. I don't want to monopolize the questions. A business has the opportunity to apply for all 3 of these funding opportunities. What you do is you apply for these funding opportunities, and if you find out one is better than the other, then you don't have to take which ones you don't need. So my suggestion is to evaluate which ones may be better suitable for you. Go to utilize your resources in your community, such as your Small Business Development Center and your SCORE chapters, who have business advisors and coaches and mentors that are willing and ready right now to help you with these business decisions. They are able to walk you through that process and advise you on what may be better suitable for your business needs. These are your resources in your communities that are available to you at no cost. So that's also an option to help you understand these programs.
And Ahmad, I will add that what we've been telling small business owners out there is, yes, go ahead and apply for the EIDL loan. A lot of the information that they will be putting together for the EIDL loan will be what's needed for the PPP loans and whatever, lines of credit, whatever else you might need out there in the future. So you might as well just jump on it and get the application of the EIDL loan in there and talk to your banker about the PPP loans and the other options out there.
Good. And just as a reminder for those on the call, I know that we move through the slides fairly swiftly. Don't worry, these will be on our website, as will this recording, so you can listen to the recording again. You can go through the slides at your own pace, and you will be able to hear the questions again and make sure you're thinking things through. So I just want to, we're getting several requests for the slides. I just want to make sure you do know these will be on our website. Next question.
And Kelly, the slides are downloadable as well. They should be posted through the webinar here.
Yes, sir. And an email will go out this afternoon, and it'll have the link again to the slides as well as to the recording. So we're going to take good care of you, and we appreciate Dave making sure that the handouts are already on the call. If PPP loans are later forgiven, is that considered income to the company?
No.
No. That's right.
This is a fairly long one, so I'm going to navigate through it. In regard to healthcare entities qualifying for the PPP loans, I understand that 500 or less employees determine this. Is the calculation of those employees number of bodies on average for the past 12 months as outlined in the SBA guidelines? I know that loan forgiveness is based on FTEs, but what about qualification for the loan in the first place?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question entirely.
Sure. Let me jump in. So
Ahmad?
our small businesses are eligible for this particular loan program, under 500 employees. What the best thing that you should do is work with a local lender and get the best information, what may be suitable for your circumstances. Work with that lender. It's going to be strictly administered through a lender, and they're going to be coming up with their own application process, and they will be able to work with you. So my suggestion is contact your local lender right now. They are aware of this program and how it's going to be administered and who it's going to be for. So my suggestion is to contact that lender, let them know your business situation, and get that information from your lender.
And let me also add that we've been getting a lot of calls from lenders, and everybody's scrambling for information right now. The SBA has taken this act that was signed into law on Friday, and they're developing guidelines and guidance that we're hoping will be out soon. From what I understand, Ahmad, it's not quite out yet, but it has to be in final form before it's issued, and then your local lenders will know exactly how to proceed with your loan. So just have patience for a couple more days here. Is that a correct assessment, Ahmad?
Yeah, that's correct. So what is going on now is the SBA is developing guidelines on particularly how this application process is going to be rolled out. If it's going to be a system that's going to be handled completely by the institution, or if they're going to be utilizing a system that is going to be online through the SBA. So they're working out that system right now, which should be worked out in the next couple of days. But lenders are aware of the program, should be aware of the program, and how it will be administered to small businesses. We're just working out the kinks on how the application process is going to be utilized.
And again, I will say, I applaud the SBA. My hat's off to you, Ahmad, and your group for the speed at which y'all are rolling this out. This is unprecedented. If everybody could have just a couple more days patience, I don't think anything's been rolled out this quickly that I've ever seen. So,
Our next question, do you know if the PPP includes the draw you take on a monthly basis as a sole proprietor for your personal expenses if you don't have yourself actually on payroll? If yes, if annual draw is over 100,000, is an amount up to 100,000 considered?
I personally, this is Dave Shelmire. I don't know the answer to that specifically, but yes, it's $100,000 is the limit as far as how the SBA is going to look at a draw versus salary. I'm not clear on the specifics of that. Do you have any thoughts on that, Ahmad?
So this information that I have is the same as basically what you said. So what costs are not eligible for payroll? Employee or owner compensation over 100,000. So it's not up to it seems like it's pretty clear. Other costs not eligible for payroll, taxes imposed or withheld under chapters 21, 22, and 24 of the IRS code. Compensation of employees whose principal place of residence is outside of the U.S. Qualified sick and family leave for which a credit is allowed under section 7001 and 7003 of the Family First Coronavirus Response Act. What are the allowable uses of the loan proceeds? And the payroll cost is that just up to the 100,000. So it doesn't look like it's saying anything below the 100,000 for an individual salary. So if a person's compensation is over 100,000, then that is not eligible for payroll.
Okay. And the next question is, one more time, can you apply for and receive the EIDL loan and the PPP loan?
Yes, you can. So you can apply for all three of the funding sources that we talked about: the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Advance, as well as the Paycheck Protection Program.
Oh, good.
And we encourage all small business owners to do that. Just go ahead and get it done.
Our CPA sent us info on PPP loans plus a list of banks, but they only list 3 and none are banks none of the banks they list. Okay, so I think there's confusion on where to go to get the information on the local banks in East Texas, because I know many of the FDIC banks are already SBA lenders, but apparently on the website it's listing Alliance of Multicultural Community Services, Lift Fund, and People Fund, and not the banks in our local markets.
Well, I know.
So Dave, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I know for a fact that SBA preferred lenders include in our area Austin Bank, Chase, Bancorp South, and bear with me a second. Virgil Connor, my senior business advisor, is writing on my board, Capital One. So those are just a subset. I know there's more out there, Veribank, and there's some more that are applying and are going to be coming online shortly. So if you prefer to work with your own bank, talk with them. If they're not a preferred lender, they can apply to become one. Ahmad, do you have any additional thoughts on that?
I just wanted to point out that just about all your major lending institutions are SBA 7A preferred lenders. Your Bank of Americas, your Wells Fargo's, your Chase, your BBVA Compass. Just about all of your major banking institutions are SBA 7A approved lenders. So check with your banking institutions, and they know if they're 7A lenders as well, or they may not have a 7A processing in your community, but they may have a 7A department somewhere else, which makes them still a 7A lender. So check with your banking institution if that's something that you're interested, if the PPP is something that you're interested in.
Ahmad, yesterday I was on a different webinar, and it was encouraging chambers to reach out to credit unions, fintech, and our community banks like Veribank, Texas Bank and Trust, Austin Bank, etc. And if they haven't made application, to get them to make application so that those relationships are kept at the local level. Can we work with you, Dave and Ahmad, to get this done so that our local lenders get approved?
Absolutely, Kelly.
So, part of my office, we have a division that's called Lender Relations Specialists. And we have 4 of those individuals that cover various territories. So their job is to work with lending institutions to get them on board as 7A preferred lenders. So we definitely can work with your community. And that's right. Those type of relationships should stay within the local community. That way, the money that's being generated is coming from your local institutions and then going back into your local economy.
Thank you. Next question. Why did the SBA change the interest rate and years to repay?
I have no idea.
Good answer. Next question. So if a company uses the Families First Act to offer extended pay time off, they can't be reimbursed at all if they obtain a CARES loan 7A. That's the question. So if a company uses the Family First Act to offer extended pay time off, they can't, I guess the question should read, can they be reimbursed at all if they obtain a CARES loan?
So it states what costs are not eligible for payroll for the payroll side of the PPP. Qualified sick and family leave for which a credit is allowed under section 7001 and 7003 of the Families First Coronavirus Response Act.
Okay. We own and operate a truck driving business, and our drivers are issued 1099s. Should their pay be included in payroll amount?
So
that's a great. Go ahead, Ahmad.
Employees. Go ahead.
So I guess the question, part of that question is, you know, if an employer captures that amount, can the 1099 employee, you know, that's almost like double dipping in a way. Ahmad, do you have, I don't have any guidance or information on that specific question. Do you have any clarification of that?
Yes, I was going to say the exact same thing. 1099 employees are eligible to apply for these particular programs. So I would encourage those 1099s individually to apply for these particular programs. So no, they would not need to be counted in a business that hires or contracts with 1099s, should I say. Those contractors should apply on their own.
If we utilize the PPP, can we still take the payroll tax credits for the paid sick leave and extended FMLA payments?
that is not a forgivable portion of the PPP. If according to that statement that I read, or what costs are not eligible for payroll, qualified sick and family leave for which a credit is allowed under Section 7701 and 7703 of the Families First Coronavirus Response Act.
Which fiscal period will the payroll taxes be reviewed? 2019 or 2018?
I believe it's 2019. Is that right, Ahmad?
I believe so. I'm looking through here to get exact. So they're going to be looking at how the loan is determined. If you were in business between February 15, 2019 and June 30th of 2019.
So they're going to use their TWC reports.
So it looks like 2019.
2019, okay. So they need to use their payroll reports from that quarter or that period of time.
That year.
Yes.
Okay. In 2019, all right. Under rent, lease, and utilities, does this cover the cost of fleet management? For example, the lease of the fleet, the fuel, the insurance, and licensing?
Absolutely. That is the expense of the business. So I would say yes. And when you're applying for that loan, make sure you list all your expenses that your business incurs. So these are working, well, the idle loan is a working capital loan. So that is something that seems like it is an expense of the business. So definitely include that.
Good. Will using a PEO, professional employer organization, affect ability to utilize PPP loan?
Data kind of went over my head. Do you have any input?
I don't have any information on that.
Okay, so we know who asked that question, and Day and Ahmad will help us figure that out, and we'll get back to that person who asked that question. That's a good question.
Absolutely.
Sounds
So
good.
Kelly, you just email me that information or their person's information and the question, and we'll research it.
Okay, thank you. Also, for PPP, on the $100,000 cap per employee payroll qualification, does this include salary and commission, or $100,000 per salary and $100,000 on commission?
But from what I understand, it's $100,000 cap, whichever it is. It can't go over $100,000. Is that what you understand, Ahmad?
Yes, so it's compensation over $100,000. So it doesn't say salaries, it says compensation. So it seems like salary plus any other compensation is considered within that 100,000.
Should payroll taxes be included in the amount requested?
No. Is that correct, Ahmad?
That's a question. So payroll taxes, I believe, is included. Let me look here, but I think I did read that payroll taxes is included.
Y'all are asking good questions if we can stump the
Very good
presenter.
questions.
Great questions. While Ahmad's looking that one up.
Give us a few layouts here.
Yeah. What is the estimated approval time frame for the idle loan? One more time, please.
Sure. So the advance, if you choose to get the advance, which I recommend, is 3 days from the time of applications. So they're saying 3 to 7, but they're trying to push for 3. For the actual loan will be 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay. Ahmad mentioned the PPP can cover all small business and nonprofit. Does this include churches and private clubs?
Yes, all small businesses and all nonprofits. That does include those type of businesses.
Okay. Can you please define a charitable nonprofit?
I would say like a bingo type of business. Dave, you have any input on that?
Not at this time, sorry. I'm looking through here the slides, and not included in the PPP loan calculation is payroll and income taxes. To go back to that previous question.
So I'm looking at this. It says what costs are eligible for payroll: compensation, salary, wages, commission, or similar compensation, payment of cash, tips, or equivalent, payment for vacation, parental, family, medical, or sick leave, allowance for dismissal or separation, payment required for provisions of group health care benefits, including insurance premiums, payment of any retirement benefits, payment of any state or local tax assessed on the compensation of employees. So it looks like if it's state or local tax assessed on the compensation of employees, it is eligible for payroll, the payroll portion.
Thank you. So I think on the nonprofit, churches, charitable organizations, there's been confusion on who can apply for what. Like the EIDL loan, any nonprofit can apply for the PPP. That was good news to hear today that any nonprofit can apply for. So what loan was it in this package, relief package, that nonprofits are not, the 501c6 piece is not eligible for?
So that is the economic injury disaster loan in advance. My suggestion that if you don't know what the status of your nonprofit is, apply. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're not sure if your nonprofit is considered a charitable or not, my suggestion is to apply and let it work out itself. It doesn't cost you anything but about an hour of your time to fill up to an hour of your time to fill out the application.
And so I went and did a little bit of research on this, public nonprofits versus private nonprofits, and there's a lot of gray area in there. So in other words, the United Way is definitely a public nonprofit, would not be eligible because of the fact that they support other nonprofits out there. They're a national organization, et cetera. Most private nonprofits are going to be more localized, but there's a lot of gray to that definition. But so if when in doubt, go ahead and apply, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, and correct. Next question. If you apply for the EIDL loan, then you apply for the PPP loan, does the $10,000 from the EIDL loan become part of the PPP loan?
Give me a second. Let me read that. Yeah, I have it. Let me just get to that portion of the language here. You can go to the next question. I'll find it here.
Okay. On the PPP, the required supporting documentation is last year's 941 returns. What if you do not have the same employees?
What if you do not have the same employees? So this is for those businesses that were affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Either you had to lay your employees off because of that, or you had to cut their salaries because of it. It is for those businesses that have been affected by the coronavirus pandemic, not what you had last year or previous years. It's for specifically for those businesses that have been affected by the coronavirus pandemic, specifically their workforce that has been affected. So they're looking at that workforce that has been affected since the pandemic started.
Can I use any of these funds to pay for sick leave for employees?
Yes, you can. Yes, sick leave, personal leave, whatever the employees were dismissed on, you could use. Other than if you apply for the Family Leave Act program. But if you did it on your own outside of that, yes, you could use that as a part of the payroll portion.
Good. Question 3 on the PPP application asks about other business ownership. Will ownership in more than one business impact ability to qualify for the PPP?
So it's one entity. One entity. If you have other business affiliations with that one entity, then you can apply. It won't affect that. If you have another entity that's not associated, I recommend that you apply for both of your entities. As long as they're not associated, you should consider that. Same thing with the idle loan. If you have multiple entities of businesses that are not associated with each other, then apply for separately for those entities.
Would workers' compensation premiums qualify as forgivable expense under the PPP loan?
Yes, workers' compensations premiums?
Yes.
Yes, it will.
Do company paid expenses, phone allowance, and mileage count towards the payroll calculation?
That was not listed in the list of items that I said what's eligible for payroll.
Okay. Please provide an example of how to calculate the PPP loan if you are covering payroll, utilities, health, and health insurance.
So there will be a calculator on SBA's website to help with that. And once that's up, you could go on there and utilize that calculator to figure out what the amount is.
I think we've answered this, but I just want to make sure. I am an independent insurance agent and my agency is a LLC. I am the only employee and work via commission. In general, am I eligible for the idle loan?
Repeat that again, I'm sorry.
This person is an independent insurance agent and he's incorporated as an LLC. So would he be eligible for the idle loan?
Okay, let me pull that up. I think insurance agents are, but let me go just to real quickly verify that. So ineligible idle applicants are life insurance companies, lending and investment concerns, except for real estate investment held retail. And this was what type of business?
An
Insurance.
What type of business?
So did you
Insurance,
say
what type
that
of
they
insurance?
are,
independent insurance. They've under an
Okay.
LLC. Commission.
Gotcha. So life insurance companies are not eligible. So if they, it looks like if they do any other type of insurance, they are, but if they're involved in the life insurance business, then they're not eligible for the economic injury disaster loan. However, PPP, if it's payroll related, then they are eligible for that because it's all small businesses and nonprofits.
Okay.
so the short answer is there's a loan here for everybody. So don't get discouraged if one doesn't fit your business.
Do you guys have just a couple of more minutes to answer a few more questions?
I have
I
a
do.
couple, exactly a couple. I want to read this statement real quick. If I get an idle and or emergency economic injury grant, can I get a PPP loan? Whatever you already received in EIDL unrelated to COVID-19, or you receive a COVID-19 related EIDL and/or emergency grant between January 31st, 2020 and June 30th, 2020, you may also apply for the PPP loan. If you ultimately received a PPP loan or refinance an EIDL into a PPP loan, any advance amount received under the Emergency Economic Injury Grant Program would be subtracted from the amount forgiven in the PPP. However, you cannot use your EIDL for the same purpose as your PPP loan. For example, if you use your EIDL to cover payroll for certain workers in April, you cannot use PPP for payroll for those same workers in April, although you could use it for payroll in March or for different workers in April. So I hope that answered the other question that we were researching on. I think the question related to what would happen with the 10,000 if you decide to apply for the PPP. So
Yes,
it
sir.
would be subtracted. It would be subtracted. Whatever you get of the up to 10,000 will be subtracted from the amount forgiven in the PPP.
Thank you.
You're
Well,
welcome.
we're going to go ahead and just do a couple of closing remarks. I want to remind everyone, this will be available online this afternoon. We will be emailing the link. We only made it through about half of the questions. We had well over 200 people on this call, and they asked amazing questions. We will figure out a process to follow up and with Ahmad and Day so that questions are answered. I would like to thank Day and Ahmad for taking time from their hectic schedule to help us think through next steps and prepare for the future. One of the roles your chamber plays is to help create an economic environment that allows prosperity to occur. One of the ways we can respond quickly to your needs is by providing relevant webinars like the one today. Please be sure and visit the calendar on our website for a current list of webinars. An example is this Friday, we have Senator John Cornyn speaking, followed by a representative from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce about what's going on this week related to COVID-19. Together, we will be stronger and we will come through this rocky period stronger than ever before. Again, on behalf of the Kilgore, Longview, and Tyler chambers, we appreciate your participation. Thank you and goodbye for now. Take care.